Pittsburgh Steelers found out from the NFL that Martavis Bryant, their once rising star receiver returning from suspension, is now allowed to return to practices and play in preseason games. They announced in a release from General Manager Kevin Colbert that was made public on Wednesday night. Now, Wednesday they finished their last practice before their first preseason game, which is against the New York Giants on Friday at the new Meadowlands Stadium, MetLife Field, however you'd like it. I would not expect Bryant to play there, but more broadly speaking, Bryant's return, or at least inching towards a full return, probably eliminates, someone's job as a Pittsburgh Steeler lower down on this roster. Behind Martavis Bryant, they had signed Justin Hunter, a similar receiver who could be a downfield target on a one-year deal. He had been getting the vast majority of the first-team reps in that position in the Steelers offense until a few days ago when a left knee injury appeared to keep him out. Sammy Coates, who the Steelers drafted in the third round in 2015, directly filled Bryant's role in the offense for the first 4 or 5 weeks of last season before breaking fingers and having some difficulties with a sports hernia, really ruined his campaign. Those two guys I see as fighting for a place in the offense, and further down, you're looking at a guy like Heyward-Bey who can play Bryant's position in addition to many others in the offense, also being affected in terms of making the team. So the Steelers' first team offense just got closer to being one of the most dynamic, if not the most dynamic, in the NFL. In 2015, the last time Martavis Bryant, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown were all able to play together, a lot of teams would try to basically give safety help and double team, to a certain extent, both Martavis Bryant and Antonio Brown. This literally split defenses in half, left the middle of the field wide open for Marcus Wheaton, then the Steelers slot receiver, to go ahead and take advantage of a vast amount of space. Even Heath Miller then was able to get a lot going in terms of the Steelers' middle of the field passing game. All of this went away for the most part in 2016 when Bryant was suspended for a year for repeated violations of the NFL's substance abuse policy as it pertains to marijuana. He had already been suspended for 4 games at the start of the season, in 2015 that is. So what you're getting is a much more explosive, a much longer Steelers offense. When teams talk about taking the top off of defense, that is what Martavis Bryant does. And with him reinstated, though not necessarily fully to be able to play in regular season games, but he will be, reevaluated by the NFL basically constantly. He's really, really heavily being drug tested. With his further reinstatement, the Steelers' offense is reinforced, but you also have to look at who's going to make this team as a wide receiver. So Antonio Brown's going to make this team as a wide receiver, right? Martavis Bryant's going to make this team as a wide receiver. I think Juju Smith-Schuster, the second-round pick this year, is going to make this team as a wide receiver. And so is Eli Rogers, who's competing with him in the slot. That's 4 guys that I'm pretty sure are locks for this team. In recent years, they've only carried 5, sometimes 6 guys on the roster. So then you're looking at Hunter, Coates, and Darius Heyward-Bey competing for 1, maybe 2 more spots, and maybe DeMarcus Ayers, who got some playing time for the team last year, also sliding in there. If I had to guess, I would say Sammy Coates makes the team because he can contribute on special teams. And I would say maybe Justin Hunter gets traded, or maybe Sammy Coates gets traded. But then I'd see Darius Heyward-Bey being that 6th receiver. He's huge for them on special teams, both in coverage, really primarily in coverage, and has been around the team for a while and in the NFL for a while. I know Mike Tomlin really appreciates his sort of veteran presence. So I think he's going to be the 6th guy. DeMarcus Ayers is probably an odd man out. He has practice squad eligibility, though I question whether or not he would clear waivers. But really what this does is there is a trickle-down effect in terms of who can make this team now, in addition to obviously improving the Steelers' offense. Again, I don't expect that Martavis Bryant will play on Friday night against the New York Giants. Wednesday was the team's last night in a full practice before the preseason opener. They'll have a walkthrough tomorrow and then travel to New York, New Jersey really. But he will, get back here on Sunday, or Saturday really, practice Sunday. We'll speak to him then and get a better feel for what's going on with Martavis Bryant. There was a point last Friday when he reportedly had put on pads and was set to practice until a Steelers spokesperson came over and they took the pads off of him and he put him back on the bus, and then I think left the high school stadium, Greater Latrobe Memorial Stadium, altogether to then not practice. But the Steelers haven't really understood what was going on with Bryant for a while. Bryant, to a certain extent, didn't understand what was going on with Bryant for a while. But now the NFL has informed the Steelers that their once rising star receiver can practice and that he can play in preseason games, which was a part of his conditional reinstatement that had not been fully met in the eyes of New York, the league, as of the start of training camp on July 27th, despite the fact that he had been allowed to practice in organized team activities and mini camp back in May and June. For now, that seems to be resolved. The Steelers expect him to, recover and continue to meet, the terms of his conditional reinstatement and be a part of an offense that, by any discernible way, got a lot better Wednesday night.